Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstroh of Oshkosh Media and Assistant City Manager, John Fitzpatrick.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report on GovTV, your source of all the latest and greatest news right here in Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming Common Council meeting. I'm your host, Emily Springstroh, joined today by Assistant City Manager John Fitzpatrick, sitting in for Mark today. So welcome, John. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Emily.
Yes, so we have a packed show today. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of the show today, and then we will go right into a review of the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, June 27th, 2017. So, John, first thing that we want to talk about here is kind of a review of the recent Council Tax Incremental Financing Workshop. This is an annual workshop, I believe, that takes place every year to kind of go over what TIF, or Tax Increment Finance District, is. So tell us exactly, why it's so important to have a workshop like this.
Yeah, we had it on the 20th, and I think it was a good workshop. It was very long. It was very thorough. We talked about, what TIF is and what TIDs are for people that don't know. In the community, a TIF is a tax incremental finance. It's a mechanism that we use to help economic development move forward. Mm-hmm. And a term we also use is TID. It's a tax incremental district. It kind of refers to the geographic location of the district that we establish. And really, the things that we covered in a nutshell was why we use TIF, and I just mentioned it's one of the few tools that communities have that, in Wisconsin at least, to help facilitate economic development. We talked a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. We talked about what we use it for. One of the things that was covered was the idea that each development proposal is unique. So we take a look at each one of those development proposals. Oftentimes, we don't even bring anything forward to the council because we know it's not going to be something that we think is going to be successful or the right fit for a part of the community, mm-hmm. or in concert with some of the plans we have. So there are a lot of things that don't even make it off the cutting room floor in terms of economic development. I know there's, for people that don't know that, I've heard them, make comments to me and others about, well, gee, it seems like we're just giving money away, and that's really not the case. Mm-hmm. It's really changed in terms of how we've used this tool over time, and I've had the ability to witness it because I've been here for a little while. Initially, there was more effort to provide monies up front, whereas now we use what's called a pay-go model, where there's a base value for a development, and then as the development accrues in value, then they receive additional increments that help pay for some of the things that they need, mm-hmm. for the development itself. So
a few different version of TIFs that has kind of been created over time here in Oshkosh.
Right. Mm-hmm. And there was some good discussion, I think, with the council members there. We had our consultant there, Ehlers and Associates. They're a financial consultant that really analyzes each one of the proposals, gives us an idea of what and how successful we think these can be. And there was a good discussion about the idea between having policy and making sure that we're protected, mm-hmm. and we're doing things in a conservative and prudent manner, but also having the flexibility to adapt for each individual proposal, because everyone is different. So mm-hmm. We want our elected officials to be comfortable with what we're doing. They represent our community, and I think it was a good step forward, providing that comfort level for them last night.
Definitely. A lot of really good information. Like you said, it was a lengthy workshop, very detailed, a lot of good things. If you'd like to see the workshop in full, we do have it on our website. Just go to oshkoshmedia.org, check out our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, and you can watch the entire thing and hear all about TIF and TID.
That's right.
So moving on, we have a couple of fun little things to just mention here. Food Truck Friday happened last Friday, and it was a huge success.
That's what I heard.
A lot of good turnout, good food.
I haven't been there, but I guess it's really an awesome event.
Well, you have a couple more opportunities to go. The next Food Truck Friday is July 14th, and then there's another one on August 11th. As you can see, the crowd was big. It's out at South Park, 5 to 9 p.m. Food Truck Friday is all kinds of different kinds of food and cold beer, soda, water. Just a great chance to hang out and spend your Friday evening.
Right.
All in support of the Oshkosh Senior Center as well.
Right. You don't have to be a senior to go,
Do
but
not have to be a senior
it
to
helps
go.
support the senior center. And I guess there were, I don't know, they estimated
Good entertainment.
Yeah, thousands of people that were there. So, and I
definitely.
don't know how many food trucks. I think it's like
10.
Is
Double
it 10?
Double the amount of food
10
trucks
different
as last
food trucks?
year. Yes, 10 food trucks.
It's just a fun thing to do, to get out there and enjoy on a Friday. I guess so far we've been pretty lucky with the weather.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to check one of these out coming up.
Yes, so July 14th is the next one. You can visit the Oshkosh Senior Center's Facebook page or website for more information. Something else that's going on this week, John, is Safety City. And this is a really cool activity, week-long program for kids here, put on by the Oshkosh YMCA and the partner of the Oshkosh Fire Department and a lot of other partners that make this happen.
Right.
But it's really a cool thing, and we were out there yesterday kind of checking it out and seeing what it all included. They were riding their bikes and learning about fire safety, all kinds of things.
No, it's a cool program. We've done it for quite a few years, and I think the community really enjoys it. It's a joint effort between our protective services groups, our police, our fire, and as you mentioned, I think the community really responds. It's an opportunity for them to understand about what they do and see them as people and not necessarily somebody that's scary, somebody that they can talk to and go to seek help from. So I think the idea of reaching children and making them feel comfortable asking for assistance from any of our protective service employees, it's very, very important.
Definitely. And they learned about bike safety as well, so the importance of having a helmet and having that helmet fit correctly.
Right.
They were doing laps in the parking lot, learning how to yield to other people in the parking lot because they were going on a bike ride today out in the community. So it's really just a cool thing to learn about safety in all regards, whether that be learning more about the fire department, not to be afraid of the people in uniform, the police department, and also bike safety and things that they can use throughout their day. So
Absolutely.
a lot of great things. If you want to learn more about Safety City, all the information is on the Oshkosh YMCA website as well as the Oshkosh Police Department, Fire Department. There's information all over the place.
And we really appreciate the YMCA's partnership on this project.
Definitely. Yes, and as well as a lot of other partners. I think the Humane Society, Reach Counseling, a lot of really great partners that made this possible.
Right.
So moving on, we've got some public information to put out there, John, and that is the fact that North Main Street is going to be closed next week, Monday, June 26th through Friday, June 30th. And tell us what the reason for that is.
Well, we're going to have some manhole rehabilitation.
That time of year.
It is, and it's in conjunction with our street projects, but also in a little bit with I&I. We want to make sure that they're set up correctly. Over time, sometimes those manholes can sink. We don't want to have any seepage. We don't want to create any damage for any vehicles. So it's necessary for us to take a look at that and work on those periodically.
Excellent. So that closure will take place between West Packer Ave and Furnow Ave. And once again, June 26th to Friday, June 30th, those intersections will be closed as well. So make sure you pay attention to the detour signs and where you can kind of get around that. Because I know that I believe it is the intersections that will be closed. But for more information, the media release on that is posted to the city website, so you can get a little more details about that closure too. And then, of course, we have some updates, John, for the 4th of July. This is the last episode of CMR that we'll have before the holiday. So we want to get out there a few city service updates that are going to be changing. So, John, why don't you take us through those?
Well, there won't be bus service on the 4th of July. And also, people are always concerned about garbage and recycling pickup. Friday pickup is pushed back to Saturday. And also, City Hall is closed on the 4th of July.
Excellent. So they're just usual status quo holiday things. So obviously no bus service. If your garbage and pickup day is on the 4th of July, it will just be pushed back to the day after, and so on and so forth. If your garbage pickup day is usually Friday, it will be moved to Saturday. So, and when in doubt, just do whatever you see what your neighbors are doing when their cans are out on
they
the
can give us a
curbs.
call too if they have any questions.
Exactly. Yes. Anyone can give City Hall a call if they have any questions about city services during the holidays here. And then finally, we want to talk about event season. There's been a few people rolling into town here for Country USA, John.
Yes, yeah.
It's that time of year, and it's just getting started.
It is. I mean, we've been pretty lucky so far with the weather. You know, we'll see how that is when as we move forward. But police departments are very busy. Fire departments very busy. You know, in support of those events and other events that we have all year. So it's busy but exciting.
Yes, and we're happy to have all the visitors to Oshkosh. Great for the economy.
Yep.
And I guess just we want to make sure that our residents and visitors are aware of additional traffic that's going to be here due to these events, as well as weather conditions.
Right.
With Country USA comes rain.
Right, right. It seems like it anyway. So not only with Country USA, but with all events, we just want people to be aware of weather conditions, be smart about it, you know, monitor those circumstances, and, you know, if there's any concerns, you know, seek shelter.
Definitely.
So.
Wonderful. Well, that does it for the first half of our topics today, John. We're going to skip the break today because we have so much to talk about. We have a loaded agenda today. So we're going to dive right into that for the Oshkosh Common Council agenda for June 27th, 2017, Tuesday. First item we want to talk about, John, is the public hearing, and this is the approval final for special assessments for the Sawdust District improvements.
Right.
Now, this is an ongoing theme in this agenda, Sawdust District and arena and everything. So why don't you take us through what this public hearing is all about?
Sure. There's been a lot of work that has gone into our development of the Sawdust District, and of course, people are familiar with the Bucks G League team, the Wisconsin Herd.
Yes.
So I know that everybody's very excited with that. But, you know, with that success also comes the potential for additional success. And we've had a dialogue with a lot of different investors that are interested in land acquisition in that area and also developing their businesses in conjunction with the development of the arena and the Sawdust District and making it kind of an entertainment venue.
Definitely.
So one of the things that I think was a consequence of this is the process associated with our projections for infrastructure. And I know it received a little bit of media attention recently, and I thought it would be important for us to just recap some of that information. So to give everybody an idea of perspective, when we have a development of this magnitude, ordinarily we're working on infrastructure improvement planning and design almost a year in advance.
Which was not the case in this project.
Which was not the case in this project because we were working on the development and the potential of this development, but we really didn't know, as I think the public is aware, until the Bucks selected us. We were one of several other communities that were vying for this project. So City Manager Roloff was very aggressive when he was working with staff, saying, hey, we have a can-do spirit. We're going to get this thing ready as we possibly can. We were doing some demolition on the site, and I think we got some footage of that.
Yep.
So we worked forward on some of those different initiatives, but there were limits to how far he could go with some of the things that he wanted us to take care of in advance. And so we had to establish some initial ideas in regard to costs, but we had to do that without knowing all the information that we ordinarily do.
Which is pretty tough.
It is pretty tough. And so the engineers that worked on this project, they did their best in terms of some of the costs that were apparent to them, some of the above ground costs like traffic signals, traffic cameras, street lighting. That was pretty easy for them. But some of the things that were more site oriented, we couldn't really do until we knew about whether or not we were going to go forward with this project.
Right.
So they made their initial estimates, and they were off by, almost $2 million. So
you kind of broke it down into three different things that were,
and I think people would want to know what the causes were.
Yeah.
Why were they off, the initial projections? And I think, there really are three main causes. One of them would be all three of them I'll just list. Water, stormwater, and soil.
Okay.
And so when we take a look at a project of this size, we want to be able to not only just plan for that initial action that takes place on the Sawdust District, the arena, we know that there's going to be additional development there. So when we plan for the infrastructure and the stormwater, we need to plan appropriately to accommodate all that development, not just that individual development. So the costs associated with that infrastructure increased when they had the time to take a look at it once we were confirmed.
Okay.
So the infrastructure for water service, for stormwater service increased. And the other element that increased was the soil itself. Although we did demolition, we really didn't do any soil borings. And it's called the Sawdust District for a reason.
Exactly.
So when we did the appropriate soil borings, we found what we thought could be the case, but knew more specifically about how much soil would have to be removed. And that the projections for the soil removal weren't listed as high as they should have been. So those were really the three main factors contributing to that under projection.
So we got a gap. What's the solution? What's going to be able to fill that gap and take that place?
And the solutions that City Manager Roloff and our engineering staff will talk about on at the public hearing on Tuesday. There was some recent publicity associated with a grant that we received from the Wisconsin WEDC. So that's going to help. That was $250,000. We were fortunate that we were under budget for some of our sidewalk programming. So that's going to help close that gap. Additionally, there was a thought that the costs for water and sewer would be borne by the developer in this project, but that's very rare. Ordinarily, we pay for those through the utility, so we will have to pay for those in this case. That's a city manager's Roloff's idea. And then the final component, that gets us to about $750,000 within an even project in terms of what we've budgeted for in the CIP.
Okay.
And the other final project that I think city manager is considering us not moving forward with based on the progress so far is we are working on a wetland bank with NENA. And the way that'll work is when people need to work on developments and they need to accommodate a wetland in their area, they can utilize what's called a wetland bank that we would share with the city of NENA. So it's a very unique concept. It's a project that's taking a little bit longer for us to coordinate because we are working with another municipality. So City Manager Roloff's idea is to postpone that because we're really not moving at the pace we had anticipated anyway. So
no fear for road projects either, though. That
right.
was another concern.
I think, when he took a look at, what was projected and where we were at and some ideas about how to close this gap, he didn't want to impact any existing projects to property owners or anything else that we had that was ready to move forward.
Okay.
So that was the thought process. I think it's a good one. And I know, people are quick to say, well, gee, what the heck happened here? Why wasn't this as seamless as it should have been? Hopefully that provides a little insight, and the engineers that really worked on this project and everybody, I think, in my opinion, did a really yeoman's job in terms of getting us poised to be able to move forward and to be able to respond to what the Bucks need moving forward for us to start the season this fall. So I hope that helps.
It's a good overview, yes, and there definitely will be more discussion in the council meeting. So
Yes.
I encourage everyone to tune in. It's a big topic right now, and there's a lot of detail. So
Right.
I do encourage people to tune into the council meeting and get the full detail on all of that. So thank you for the overview, John.
Sure.
We're going to move forward here in the agenda. Next thing we want to just briefly talk about is item under the consent agenda, and that's the award bid for public works contract to Wood Sewer and Excavating for storm sewer lateral in various locations. And this is kind of just an ongoing effort with stormwater.
It is mini storms and storm laterals. It's over $300,000. So I think it's important to know that we're moving forward with all the projects that we have originally budgeted for.
Excellent. And it's good to note, just because you don't hear about stormwater, we're always working behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Moving on, a couple of items, both for parks here out in the Menominee Park area. Approved professional services proposals for Menominee Park, Sea, Sand, and Sailorland, and then also Fugelberg Park. So tell us, what these are and when they're going to be happening here.
Right, for Sea, Sand, and Sailorland, I think people are familiar with that. It's on the north end of Menominee Park. So that's a project that I think is in need of updating. That project's going to be about $120,000 investment. And also there's another playground design and installation project that's been scheduled for Fugelberg Park. So that's another $120,000 investment. And I think both of those parks will really benefit from those updates.
Oh, the amount of use at Menominee Park, for sure. It's always great to see updates happening out there. So stay tuned to more CMR as well. We'll hopefully have some renderings and things like that of what you can expect them to look like too. Item number 14 here, approve initial resolution for special assessments for the Aviation Business Park Water Main Loop. Tell us about the background for that.
Well, that one is just, again, another kind of an update to the community to let them know that we're moving forward on the plans associated with our Aviation Business Park. It's really going to only impact one property owner, the assessments. But I think it's important for the community to know that we are ready to accommodate any interest that might be made known to us in regard to the Aviation Business Park. The infrastructure in terms of that water loop, that water main loop will be in place.
Excellent. Well, it's great to hear updates on the Aviation Business Park as well. So, moving forward under new ordinances, John, a very important update that we have here is the approval of a closure of Oshkosh Ave from North Westfield Street to Eagle Street. And this one's coming up, and it's kind of a big closure. So tell us a little bit about that.
It is. It's my understanding that it's not going to take place until July. I think it's July 10th to the 21st.
Yes.
Is that right? But yeah, the idea is we want to get some information out about that. There's some pavement and some storm sewer and other infrastructure improvements that are planned in that area. And there'll be detours that'll be made known to the community. I think that we're going to be using Keller, Witzel, and Sawyer Street. So hopefully it won't be too big of an inconvenience, but we wanted to let people know as soon as we could.
So media release should be going out week of the 4th for that too. So stay tuned, check out the city website for that for more details about the closures. This is the one that I do know that the intersections will be closed. So definitely pay attention to those detour signs and like you said, Keller, Witzel, and Sawyer, and more information to come. Moving on, modifying the parking regulations on 11th and 12th Ave. So what's the reason for the parking regulations going on over here?
This is just some additional foresight associated with the Sawdust District. So again, people think about the arena itself, and that's an important component, but we want to make sure that we can accommodate everything that's going to take place in the Sawdust District and in the neighborhoods surrounding. So
definitely. So just another thing in the theme of our agenda today with the arena. Just got to facilitate parking and make sure that that's good enough for all the great things that are going to be happening out there.
Exactly.
Under new resolutions, we have a couple of items relating to bonds, John. Why don't you take us through what exactly these two items are for and borrowing?
Sure. There's a couple resolutions here that just talk about some large borrowings for bonds, and they're really for our wastewater and stormwater capital improvement projects. We have one issuance that's projected to be over $16 million, and then another one that's $10 million. And again, it's our efforts to move forward to make sure that we can keep the infrastructure set up in such a manner where we don't let it deteriorate and it costs the citizenry more money. We won't know specifically until actually the day of the sale what the final numbers are. But
they're not small numbers.
They're not small numbers, and we just wanted to make sure that the public was aware of that.
Definitely. And more detail, hopefully, as we go through discussion in the council meeting as well. Excellent. Item number 34, John, accept donation from the Oshkosh Opera House Foundation for enhanced balcony seating for the Grand Opera House. Now, this is kind of a cool one. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on here?
This is very exciting. I was in a meeting this morning just learning a little bit more about the project. But the Grand Opera House Foundation has been fortunate enough to be contacted by a donor, and the donor would like to contribute, I think, between $100,000 and $150,000.
Wonderful.
To update some of the seating in the Grand. And I have some familiarity with the Grand and some of the modifications that have taken place there, and also have attended some events there. And it looks like we have just a graphic of a photo of I think the seat on the left is the existing seat. The seat on the right would be the new seat. That would be the seating that would be available in one area of the balcony. So they wanted to make sure that they made it a more comfortable experience for the patrons, but also preserve the integrity of the nature of the Grand itself. So you can see by the photo that it's very similar in terms of the look of it. Actually, I've seen the sides of these chairs too, and they're more decorative than the existing seats. There's, for people that are familiar with like tin ceilings, there's some
really
intricate work that's done on the sides of these seats. So they're very beautiful, and I think they'll be very functional. We have a lot of different patrons, elderly patrons, children, all kinds of different people that attend the Grand. And I think this experience will be, provide an opportunity for them to do it in a comfortable manner.
Excellent. And I like how they're different yet very, very similar. So you're still not losing the historic charm of the Grand Opera House. And that's what's really, I think, for a lot of people most important.
They'll be a little bit bigger. There'll also be some more legroom for people. So they'll be removing some of the existing seating. They'll be kind of capping the area where the existing seating was. There'll be some, on the caps, there'll be some like round tabletops. So that'll be a nice feature.
Very nice.
And, people may say, well, how can they make this work financially? I think by removing some seats and putting in less seats, but having some additional cost for those premium seats, it actually will allow them to come out a little bit better. That we were shown some mock events where they kind of placed this methodology on the event itself. And it was pretty impressive to see how I think it will really help the Grand continue to be successful moving forward. And it'll be exciting.
Very exciting. We love hearing updates about the Grand Opera House, so encourage people to get out there and check those new seats out when they get installed. After that, John, we've got 5 items all relating. We're going to very briefly go through these because we already talked a little bit about that with the public hearing at the start of the meeting. Now, the first item, number 35, that is the amendment to the capital improvement program.
And we talked a little bit about that, that we had some projections. We have some ideas about how to modify our initial projections to cover the costs. So that's what the initial resolution is there.
And then item after that is the total cost, and that came out to about $3.974 million.
Right. That's the projected cost there. And then the additional resolutions are just for some of the other items that we mentioned earlier, some of the above ground issues, traffic, signals, the camera equipment, the grid smart technology, and then the street lighting.
Excellent. So following that, it's just a follow-up discussion, item number 41. So you're just kind of getting some feedback from council members about the June 20th TIF workshop that we talked about earlier. And then moving on, the city manager will be talking a little bit about the 2018 budget calendar prep schedule. Next budget meeting coming up is July 19th, and you can definitely check that out on our website as well for that full schedule. And then finally, the last thing is Oregon Street reconstruction. Give us a little background on that.
City Manager Roloff is just going to give a preview to the council, I think, about that and the citizens, and he wants to talk about, again, this is related to the Sawdust District, that we think there's going to be some spillover effect all the way to Oregon Street, and we're slated to work on Oregon Street, and we believe that it might be important for us to consider the width of the sidewalks in that area to accommodate people, and I think it might be possible for us to save some money on some of the projects in conjunction with some of the ideas we have to accommodate the impact of the Sawdust District. So I think it's along with that theme of foresight, and I think it'll be interesting to see how the council responds to that and how we move forward with that.
Wonderful. So, of course, ending it on the arena and the Sawdust District for our themed episode today, John. That's going to do it. We are out of time, so I'd like to thank you for joining us on City Manager's Report today.
All right. Thank you for having me, Emily.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, June 27th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org or on 101.9 Oshkosh FM. You can like Oshkosh Media on Facebook for updates, like us on Twitter, City of Oshkosh, or check out our YouTube channel for meeting replays plays, and other programs. Of course, if you have a question for your City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us and he will answer it on the next episode of CMR. So as always, we'd like to thank you for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.